What you say? That you only meant well, because you did. What you say? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live episode of the Cheap Beer Fantasy Football League Prior Week Recap, Future Week Forecast Evening Talk Show. As always, I am your host, Kamish. You may notice that we're not coming to you live from Center Street Studios in beautiful Bellevue, Kentucky. We're actually filming live on location. I have a very special guest tonight. More on that later. He has an extremely pregnant wife, and he was worried that if he left, she might go into labor. I said, I'll come to you, baby. I'm a man of the people. The best goddamn commissioner in the best goddamn fantasy football league in the entire world. Now, we're starting a little late tonight. I apologize for that. We'll try and wrap this up before kickoff for the Thursday night game. I got caught in bridge traffic. Whoever burnt that bridge, burned in hell. And if I could kill you myself, I would. But let's not dabble on the negatives. Let's move right on to this week's episode. It's been a couple weeks since I seen you last. How you boys been? We have to recap Week 8, Week 9 really quick. Then we'll jump into the Week 10 recap, look on to the Week 11 forecast. Week 8, the top dog. I wanted to squeeze this in there. Top dog Week 8, that would be myself. I put up a whopping 177.24 points. You heard that correctly. 177.24 points. I was led by CeeDee Lamb. Recently acquired him in a trade, and he instantly popped off. Put up 36.1 points. Now, I did a little bit of stat searching because I was so impressed with my performance. And it came to my attention in the history of the league, 170. 170 is a big number. In the history of the league, 170 has been achieved only 19 times. 19 times in league history. Let's see. 170 has been hit 19 times. 180 has been hit 8 times. 190 has been hit twice. Corey, in week 3 of the 2023 season, put up 193.66. 200's been hit once. 210's been hit once. The most points that have ever been scored in our league happened way back in the year 2021. Week 2, Nate Dogg put up 213.70 points. Nate, how far you've fallen. Week 8, dumbass of the week, that was Corey. Corey put up 89.86, didn't hit that 90-point threshold. He was our Week 8 dumbass. Moving on. Week 9, Corey went from worst to first. Corey was our top dog, Week 9, putting up 142.34 points. Quite a swing between weeks for you there, Corey. He was led by Saquon Barkley, who put up 34.4 points. And our dumbass of the week, my buddy and yours, Moose, he put up a measly 73.9 points. It made me laugh just saying it. That's so little points. And we had another Week 9 dumbass, our Insta under 90 dumbass, that belonged to Nate. I just sang your praises, Nate. You scored 213 points last week, Week 9, not last week, 2 weeks ago, Week 9. You scored 88.52 points, so congratulations. You're a dumbass. Let's get back into a regular episode format. Let's look at Week 10, just last week, a quick Week 10 recap. As always, I'm going to start with the biggest blowouts, move our way down to the closest nail-biter. Our biggest blowout in Week 10, that was Jordy over Neely. More on Neil later. Gosh, just embarrassing. Jordy put up 142.44 points. Neil, 63.08 points. That is rough. That's a margin of victory of 79.36 points. That's a margin of victory 16 points higher than what Neil scored. That's terrible, Neil. Jordy was led by Jamar Chase. What an outing out of him. In a losing effort, how can it be, Bengals? You fucking blow. Jamar Chase put up 54.9 points. Almost all of Neil's team didn't score that many points. Neil was led. Here's how you score 63. Neil was led by his defense. The Chargers defense put up 10 points. That's the best Neil had to offer. Moving on. I scored 97.1 points. I destroyed Corey's bitch ass, who put up 69.04 points. Bad week for Neil and Corey. That's a margin of victory of 28.06 points. I was led by Josh Allen, 18.2 points. And Corey was led by Kyler Murray, 28.74 points. That almost half of Corey's points scored by his quarterback. Moving on. Bodie. Bodie scored 123.08 in a winning effort against ZPAT. ZPAT scored 106.34. That's a margin of victory of 16.74 points. Bodie led by Jalen Hurts. It was a good week for quarterbacks. Bodie led by Jalen Hurts, 29.68 points out of him. ZPAT led by George Pickens, 18 points. 18 points for George Pickens. Moving on. Dilly Donuts. All the kid does is win. We just can't stop him once. But we just can't seem to stop him again. Dylan put up 114.22 in a winning effort against Meat. He beat Meat. Meat, 99.3 points. It's a margin of victory of 14.92 points for Dilly Donuts. Donuts led by Brock Purdy with a score of 26.82 points. Not a bad showing. Meat led by Lamar Jackson. God, that was a hell of a Thursday night game. Everyone scored in that game, except the Bengals didn't score enough. You know what I mean? Meat led by Lamar Jackson, 32.9 points. Moving on. Nate rounded up our closest game of the week. Wasn't even all that close, to be honest with you. Nate put up 107.1 points over Bebop. Bebop, 96.72 points. Margin of victory of 10.38. Congrats to you, Nate. Nate led by Bijan Robinson, 30.9 points. He's having a hell of a season, Bijan. And Braden was led by Joe Burrow, 38.72 points. I mean, damn near all of our teams that had a guy that played in that Thursday night game was led by that guy. It was a hell of a game. Moving on. Our Week 10 bingo, bango, top dog. It pains me to say it, but it's true. That would be Jordy. He put up a score of 142.44. No one hit that over 150 insta top dog status. Jordy is our week 10 top dog. Congrats to you, Jordy. I'll drink to that. Damn, that's a good beer. Our Week 10 certified, bona fide, dumbass. That belongs to Neely. Neely, 63.08 points. You got to figure it out, bud. You got to figure it out. And you got to figure it out quick because I'll tell you your playoff chances here shortly. You have more than 1% chance, but less than 3. So you do the math. We had another instant dumbass, under 90 dumbass. That would be Corey with his pathetic score of 69.04 points. 69, funny number, bad score. So Corey and Neil are 2 Week 10 dumbasses. And our Week 10 Son of a Bench Award. This goes out to whoever had the highest scoring player on their bench. So despite the fact they scored a magnitude of points, absolutely none of them counted. That belongs to Dilly Donuts. Dilly Donuts, he left Chuba Hubbard. Unbelievable that that's a real name. Chuba Hubbard, he was on his bench. He put up 25.9 points, and absolutely none of them counted. So good job, Dilly Donuts, our Week 10 Son of a Bench Award winner. Moving on. Let's not focus too much on the past. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. That's a good beer. Let's go ahead and look at the current power rankings as well as the playoff picture heading into Week 11. Our power rankings. There was a little bit of a mix-up in the power rankings, but the top remained steady. Dilly Donuts, number 1. I myself, number 2. Number 3, Bodemeister, comes roaring back. Oh, that's a good point in the chat. I did say the word playoffs, and our live studio audience, we love them. We care about them, but they are slacking a little bit. I didn't hear a single playoffs notification. I also didn't hear it right there. That was a test, and you failed. Like I was saying, Bodie is currently 3rd in our power rankings. Braden, Bebop, he is 4th in the power rankings. Jordy, he's moved his way into 5th. Nate Dogg in 6th. Z-Pat in 7th. Corey in 8th. Meat in 9. And that leaves our bottom dweller, the bottom of the barrel, handsomest man in the league, Neely. Neely is in 10th. Yikes. Let's look at the playoff picture real quick. You can probably deduct what the playoff picture sort of looks like based off of the power rankings. Our current number 1 seed, our first bye guy, that would be Donuts. Our second seed, our number 2 seed, if you will, that's myself, also a bye guy. Our 4-5 matchup, my favorite matchup come playoff time. Jordy's sitting on the 4 seed. Bebop sitting on the 5 seed. I think that could be a killer game, and you know who I'll be rooting for. In our 3-6 matchup, the 3-6 Mafia, 3 seed is currently Bodemeister, and 6 seed is currently Nate Dogg. So another very, very enticing matchup there. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Moving on. Let's take a quick look at our standings. As always, this is brought to us by our friends over at Keystone Light. I would like to invite my guest on. Do you care to take a little swig of Keystone with me, my friend?
Be happy to.
I'll just have you on here real quick. We'll give you a formal introduction here soon, but let's go ahead and cheers to our good buddies over at Keystone. Cheers to you, my friend. Thanks for letting us host here.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate you.
Damn, that's a good beer.
The birth later, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Tam's going to give birth live on camera. That will be later. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and scoot back over. I'll bring you in just a second. Thank you for toasting. Thank you to our good friends over at Keystone. Let's look at the standings, and let's start in that coveted Keystone division. Number one in the Keystone division with a record of 9-1. Fantastic record. That belongs to none other than Dilly Donuts. And I would like to wish Dilly Donuts, I think Corey mentioned this in the chat. It was a great term. I will be using it going forward. A very Merry Clinchmas to Dylan because he has a 100% chance of making the playoffs. So, Dilly Donuts, Merry Clinchmas to you and have a happy holidays. Moving on. Our current number two in the Keystone division, that would be Bo Diesel with a record of 5-5, sitting at an even 500. He's got a 79% chance of making the playoffs. Congrats to you, Bodemeister.
Playoffs.
Nate Dogg is in third place in the Keystone division with also a record of 5-5. Little less playoff likeliness than Bodemeister. He's got a 61% chance to make the playoffs. Our number four in the Keystone division, that is Z Pat, fell just under 500, sitting at 4-6. He has a 52% chance to make the playoffs.
No way off.
Basically a coin flip there for Mr. Moose. And last in the Keystone division, but first in our hearts, that would be Meat with a record of 3-7. Not very impressive. He's got a measly 12% chance to make the playoffs. Not impossible, but also not likely. Let's move over to the Natty division, which, funny enough, is also brought to us by our friends over at Keystone. God, it's a damn good beer. In the Natty division, sitting atop the Natty ladder, that would be myself with a record of 8-2. I'm very proud of that record, but I will continue to improve upon it. That's my promise to you. And I have a 99% chance to make the playoffs. It's Clinchmas Eve, baby. I'm celebrating. I will clinch. You can take it to the bank. Moving on. Number two in the Natty division with a very popular record this year, 5-5. That would be Jordy. Jordy. Who have you lost to, Kamish? I'm not dwelling on losses. I have no idea who I lost to. But Jordy, you are currently in second place in the Natty division. Record of 5-5, 74% chance to make the playoffs. Braden, third in the Natty division. Braden with also a record of 5-5. I'm getting tired of saying that. Record of 5-5 with a 77% chance to make the playoffs. Behind Jordy in the Natty rankings, yet still has a better chance of making the playoffs. Explain that to me, you mathematicians. Moving on. Our number four rank currently in the Natty division, that would be Corey, the man of the house. He's got a record of 4-6, playoff chance of 44%. He's not out of it, but he's certainly not in it. And fifth in the Natty division, Neely. What happened to Neely? He's as bad as he is handsome, and boy is he handsome. With a record of 2-8, Neil is currently our bottom dweller in the league, and he has not 1, but 2% chance of making the playoffs. Neil, I'll be pulling for you, but I don't know. I think maybe next year would be a better fit for your possibilities. I think this year the ship may have sailed. Let's look at our stats. Most points scored this year, that would be moi. I have put up 1,253.54 points, comes to 125.35 points per week I'm scoring. Damn, my team is killing it. Let's look at least points scored. That belongs to Meat. Meat, a measly 1,004.46 points so far this year. Comes out to right about 100.46 points per week. Not very good, Nate. Meat, not very good. Let's look at most points allowed, the worst defense. And this is telling. Neil has given up 1,239.22 points every week. Neil's opposition is scoring an average of 123.92 points. It's absolutely brutal, Neil. Brutal. And our least points allowed, that belongs to me. I'm playing some good defense. Take notes, Bengals. I've only given up 1,034.48 points, which means only 103.45 points per week. I'm bringing the D, baby. Just ask your mother. Our longest active win streak, that belongs to myself. I've won 6 in a row. And our longest active losing streak, that belongs to Neil. He's found himself in a bit of a cold spell. He's dropped 4 straight games. Not good, Neil, not good. Maybe you can right the ship this week. I have a brand new award for this week. I'm calling it the Good Effort Bud Award, and that belongs to Braden because Braden is currently leading the league in roster transactions. He's made 26 roster moves this year through 10 weeks. That's an average of 2.6 moves per week. He's really keeping his eye on the waivers, and for that, I say good effort, bud. So congrats to Braden on getting the first ever Good Effort Bud Award. Let's look at the Week 11 preview. That's what we're all here for, right? Last week's in the past, nothing we can do about it. This week, let's see what our good friends over at ESPN are projecting. As always, I'm going to start with the closest nail biters, work our way up to the biggest deficit. And currently, our closest game, margin of victory-wise, is also the Week 11 Commissioner's Choice Game of the Week. I say that because it's close, but also because I think there's going to be some playoff implications on the line. We have 4-6 Z-Pat facing off against also 4-6 Corey. Whoever loses this might be out of it. Whoever wins it could find himself right knocking on the playoff door. Z-Pat projected a score of 117.5. Corey projected a score of 109.3. Margin of victory in Z-Pat's favor of 8.2. That could go either way. Moving on. 9-1 Donuts finds himself matched up against 5-5 Bodemeister. Donuts projected a win 123.1 to 112.5. Margin of victory of 10.6. Good luck to both you boys. Moving on. 3-7 Meat finds himself battling 5-5 Mr. 500 Nate Dogg. Meat projected 108.9. Nate Dogg, am I reading this correctly? Projected 83.4. Nate, make some roster changes, bud. You still got time. It's only Thursday night. Meat is projected a resounding victory of 25.5 points. Moving on. We find 5-5 Braden going up against 2-8 Neely. And it looks like Neely's luck might just continue to get fucked. Braden projected 122.3, right in line with the average that Neil's giving up every week. I can't believe it. The poundings never stop. Neil projected a measly 94.6. He's flirting with dumbass territory. That's a projected margin of victory of 27.7 points. And lastly, our biggest projected blowout. That finds me 8-2, going up against Jordy, everyone's least favorite manager. 5-5. Jordy's projected a measly 83 points. Certified bona fide dumbass territory. And I am projected 118.5. That's a projected margin of victory of 35.5 points. Now, Jordy, I don't know if you've already set your lineup, but if you had, I would really consider making some changes because it's looking like I'm going to dog walk you. I'm going to walk you like the dog you are. Moving on. Speaking of Week 11, tonight is Thursday night. We do have our first game of the week where we see the Commies traveling to Philly to take on the Birds. So good luck to anyone who has a player playing tonight. Good luck to whoever has Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. Good luck to anyone who maybe has Scary Terry or Jaden Daniels. Is it Jaden Daniels or Daniel? I think it's Daniels. Jaden Daniels. Good luck to anyone who has anyone playing tonight. And as always, I want to remind you that you're more than welcome. If you're watching right now, you're more than welcome. You're invited to this weekly party. You can come sit in the studio audience. We always have pizza. We always have beer. I usually host this at beautiful Center Street Studios in beautiful Bellevue, Kentucky. Tonight, we're over in Covington at Casa de Corey. And he was kind enough to pick up the pie. He picked up some stones. He picked up some twisted teas. More on that later. And he's just a hell of a guy. And speaking of that hell of a guy, it is my honor and privilege for the first time on this show. Now, this guy's been in the league since the very beginning. We've never had him on. I'll carry some of the blame. I put some of the blame on him. I'm going to bring it up in the interview. But here's the thing. He's a great guy. He's Uncle Douche. He's a loving husband, soon to be father of who I'm assuming will be stunningly beautiful young baby girl. And without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to bring on my friend and yours, Corey Stoll. Corey, how are you, Uncle Deuce? Swing in here, buddy.
I'm good.
Sit down. You know the couch. You
It's not my
recognize the
flavor.
couch. You recognize the couch. Corey, you've never been on the show, but I'm assuming you've seen it a time or two. And I usually like to ask my guests a couple of questions. Do you care if I ask you a few questions?
No.
All right.
Go ahead.
Beautiful.
Mitch. I feel like I'm in between two ferns right now.
You are. In between two friends, exactly. Corey, when I look back at some of our past champions, I really can't help but notice that 60% of them are either established fathers or soon-to-be fathers. Zach has 2 children. Bodie has 1 child. And Jordy, much like yourself, has a daughter on the way.
Braden, we didn't forget about you.
Well, Braden, I know that you have a lovely daughter, but you haven't won. So that's why you didn't get included in that mix. But Corey, my question to you, do you believe that there is a direct correlation between excelling at fantasy football and having unprotected sex? And if you do think there's some sort of correlation, is that why you decided to impregnate your wife?
I hope it works. I never thought about
the numbers
that way,
don't lie.
Kamish. Yeah.
60% of our past champions are fathers or soon to be. You are a soon to be father. Do you think that having a kid on the way could motivate you enough to bring home the Lombardi? Is it boosting
certainly
motivation?
hope so. Jesus, that's some. You hit me some facts there, Kamish.
I hope
that is wild.
I hope for your sake that when you bring that lovely baby girl into the world, you're also hoisting the Lombardi.
Well, you know who I think is due. Actually, we were just talking on the couch over there.
Yes,
Braden's got McCaffrey coming back. He's got a stacked lineup.
that's true.
Braden's bound for a run, baby.
And he would still qualify in that potential unprotected sex havers being good at fantasy football.
Yeah.
So it could be Braden's time.
Next year's my year.
Could be Braden's time. Could be your time. Only time will tell. Corey, you care if I ask you another question?
No.
Corey, you and Tam, you currently built this lovely house. It's where we're hosting tonight's episode. When I took the tour, I couldn't help but notice I didn't see a trophy case. So does that mean that you're not very confident that you'll ever have the Lombardi Trophy in the near future?
No, we're just working on a room big enough that we can make a shrine to it. So, we don't have all our rooms filled yet, but yes, we will definitely have a room just for the Lombardi.
Okay, so maybe you're going to finish the basement, have a beaming light, a big wall, a big shrine.
I like your style.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
So the fact that there's not currently a trophy case does not mean that you're simply writing off your chances of ever winning. You're just trying to plan a grand room to show it off when you do.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Just waiting on that to happen. Oh, hey, cheers.
Cheers to you, bud. Now, Corey, I will say, as we cheers.
That's a bad beer.
Damn, that's a good beer. I do recognize we're in your house. I do recognize that you're a drinker of the Twisted Teas. So I will stray away from my stone. And you know what? Let's chase that delicious beer down with a nice swig of Twisted Tea.
Let's go.
Sponsoring tonight's episode, our good friends, brand new sponsor, our buddies over at Twisted Tea.
Boston Beer Company.
Damn, that's a good tea. All right, Corey.
How
on
do
this
you
show,
read that is so small.
I got good peepers. on this show, I do like to have my guests grade their draft. And we are 10 weeks into the season, so we have a pretty firm understanding as far as who you took, when you took them, and how well that's been paying off for you. So if you don't mind, can I have you grade your draft?
Absolutely.
All right, in round 1, you had pick 9. You took Derrick King Henry. He is a running back for the Baltimore Ravens. As of it currently stands, he is running back number 1. Corey, how would you grade that pick?
I'd say that's an A+.
I think that is an A+. The fact that he went 9 spots deep into the draft, you sniped him, running back 1. I'd say that's a great pick. I also give that a certified commissioner's A+. Corey, in round 2, since you had such a late pick in round 1, you got an early pick in round 2. You had pick number 12. You took, and Corey, what a run on running backs you had. You took Saquon Barkley, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's about to play tonight. I hope he's in your lineup. He is currently sitting at running back 2. So Corey, running back 1, running back 2. How do you grade that pick?
I mean, I'd say that was an A, but then when he teabagged that guy and just literally jumped over him backwards last week, I was like, that's an A+.
I've never seen a backwards hurdle in my life.
It's amazing how bad my freaking lineup, aka record, is right now because I have the number 1 and number 2.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but you do seem to be underperforming a little bit for having 2 stud running backs. But I am also going to stamp that with an A+. You started the draft off hot. Now here's maybe where those A+ may have run its course. In round 3 with pick 29, you picked Mike Evans, wide receiver out of Tampa Bay. He is currently wide receiver 34. Now I understand he's been battling the injury bug, so you got to factor that in. But how do you grade that pick?
Still love Mike Evans. He's always consistent. Every year he grabs touchdowns, even if it's 1-yard touchdowns. He'll get 2 touchdowns a game and get 2 yards a game.
Yes.
But he gets 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
So once he's back, I'm back, baby.
So
I would say B+ right now.
You're giving it a B+. Okay.
I like my first 3 draft picks.
Okay. I do think I think that's probably, I would go B- only because he is getting up there in age. You had to know that when you drafted him. The injury bug's always right around the corner.
Julio, though, you know me.
Yeah, I know you are a Falcons fan, which blows my mind. But I do think Mike Evans was a good pick, and I hope he comes back healthy here very soon.
And God bless.
Well, we have a message in the chat here. Do you host this show to stroke your ego and talk about yourself? You sound like Jay Billis talking about Cooper Flagg. I'm glad someone mentioned Cooper Flagg because I didn't realize the other day I pretend to be a Bengals fan, but I truly, truly am in my heart of hearts a Kentucky Wildcats fan. And we finally beat Duke. We beat Cooper Flagg. And I will say, on record, you heard it here first, Mark Pope will go down as one of the greatest coaches in Kentucky history. He's got a team of guys that he put together in merely months. When he gets his whole hands on the roster, we will be great. Fuck Duke. Fuck Cooper Flagg. Well, he's very good, but I'm glad that he choked on those last couple possessions.
Brew is a big Wildcats fan.
He really laid an egg, and for that I'm happy. But let's get back to what this is. This is a fantasy football show, and more specifically, it's just a show about one league. I can't stress that enough. This is just one specific league. That's the beauty of the show. It means nothing to almost everybody in the world, except 10 guys. 10 guys. This is what we talk about. Let's get back to your draft, Corey. In round 4, the 32nd pick of the draft, you took Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of the Miami Dolphins, currently wide receiver 60. I think he's been hit with the injury bug. Certainly his quarterback was hit with the injury bug. I am interested. When Tua went down, were you concerned that he was going to retire, thus kind of making Waddle basically useless for the rest of the year?
Yeah. But I wanted to hold on to him because Tua doesn't seem like he's got a lot going on up in that noggin because he keeps coming back.
He keeps coming back.
But even after that tackle attempt,
that
was very dumb.
Oh, it was brutal.
Yep. Still tackling.
Very, very, very dumb.
Hopefully he'll come back in the second half stronger too because I like the Waddle touchdown.
Oh, I love the Waddle touchdown dance. I think it's a great dance. But how would you grade that pick? Waddle in the 4th round.
That's a D.
A D.
That's definitely a D.
Unfortunately, with him being wide receiver 60, I can see why you took him. But he's not panned out this year. I think you're probably accurate in that D range. In the 5th round, you had pick 49. You took Zay Flowers, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. He is currently – this surprised me when I looked at it. Zay Flowers is one of those guys I don't really think about much, but he is currently wide receiver number 8. You got him in the 5th round, wide receiver 8, a top 10 receiver. That's a receiver 1 in round 5. How do you grade that pick?
Man, I give him a C because I have literally put him on the bench every time he blows up, and then every time he plays well, he's not in my lineup. So
that's fair.
Yep.
So he's frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I just can't not fucking stand, to be honest. So.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't figure him out. He always shits the bed when you got him in the lineup, and then when he's not in your lineup, that's why he's wide receiver 8. I agree that that's confusing. I agree that that's infuriating, but I think that you're doing yourself a disservice there with that grade. I think that getting a wide receiver, a top 10 wide receiver in the 5th round, I think that's got to be flirting with an A. So I think that the top of your draft was incredible. Your record doesn't necessarily show it just yet, but overall, not a bad report card for those first 5 picks. So congrats to you, Corey. You did something right this year. You drafted well. Corey, can I ask you a couple more questions?
Yes, sir.
Your team is named My Ball Zach Ertz. And it was a funny pun when you came up with it, and it made sense because he was on your team. Zach Ertz is no longer on your roster. Is that true?
That is correct.
So are you willing to look in the camera and admit that name is fucking stupid because Zach Ertz is no longer on your team? Are you willing to tell the folks this at home?
Yes, but I truly make it a point to pick up Zach Ertz every single year. And actually, I think he's playing right now. But
This game has
no.
picked up.
I have not. I have not picked up Zach Ertz in the last 2 years. So
Fair
I
enough.
probably need to change it. It's better than mystery fucking GM.
I agree, but I also do emphasize I do think it's time for you to change your name. Just a couple more questions here because we do have the Thursday night game kicking off. I was late. Again, bridge traffic. Hope whoever started that fire burns in hell forever. Corey, who is your favorite league manager to beat in this league, and why is that the case? Is it maybe your cousin Meat, or is that too easy of a target?
That's the easy one.
You like
That's an
beating
easy
Zach?
one.
You like beating Jordy? Maybe
Uh,
Braden?
I think
Maybe Donuts?
I hate to say it, but I think it's Nate.
You think it's Nate?
I think it's Nate.
Oh, he's so
actually.
lovable.
I know, but like every time Nate and I go against each other,
Yep.
I feel like he beats me. And like
Really?
if I ever beat him,
He's got
I've
your
never
number.
looked at the facts, but I'm just like, what the fuck? Nate's always like 8th place in our league. You know, that's just how he rolls. He just doesn't care. He's a sweetheart.
Yep.
But I think I like to beat Nate.
I can see it. Nate, if you're out there, Corey says you got his number, but he loves to beat you. So I don't know. That seems like a dig to me to one of the nicest guys in our league, but I digress. Just a couple more questions here for you, Corey. You mind if I ask you a couple more?
No, sir.
Corey, you got a 44% chance to make the playoffs.
Playoffs.
How are you feeling? Do you think, as I mentioned before, when Tam gives birth, which she should be doing in the next 5 minutes as our scripted last-second episode ender, she is going to give birth live on air. But do you think that maybe once you become a father, you'll start winning games? And do you think that 44% chance, do you think it will hit? Do you think you're going to sneak in this year?
100%.
So 100% of the 44% you're in.
I'm going to make the playoffs. Tamara's not going to give birth tonight. And
all is right with the world.
all is right.
All is right with the world. All right, Corey, my last question for you. And I want to say again, I appreciate you coming on. You've been a vital member of this league. You're the reason we all met Meat, which I know I'm thankful for. Corey, who do you think wins it all this year in your heart of hearts? You mentioned Braden earlier.
I'm telling you, it's collision course.
Yeah.
Wait, who's in what league? I think it's going to be Dill Dog versus Braden.
You think Dill Dog versus Braden? Winner of that matchup, you think wins it all?
Yep.
That's fair. Dylan's had himself a miraculous year. Braden is about to get back Christian McCaffrey.
Mish, I want to give you some love.
The widest running back in the league. The widest running back in the league. I think that they're both very formidable opponents, and I look forward to beating them in the playoffs and hosting the Lombardi Trophy. But
I truly mean, though, I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate that.
I got you, brother.
And this isn't going to help the claims of me hosting the show strictly to stroke my ego, but I did not make him say that. I let him pick who he thought was going to win. He didn't say me. No one's perfect. You're allowed to be wrong from time to time. And I think that I think that Dilly and Braden are very good. They could win it, but they just won't because I will.
I can tell you who's not going to.
Who's that? Neil?
Nate, Neil, me, Bodie.
Oh! He's third in the power rankings, but you
Bodie's
skip
not
him.
winning.
I tend to agree with you. And I say that because I know that I am winning. Corey, that was all I had for you. I know that we've kicked off here, so let's go ahead and wrap this puppy up. But Corey, one more time from our live studio audience, thank you for letting us host here.
My man.
Congrats on the soon-to-be child. And Corey, maybe we'll see you in the playoffs. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. That is going to end tonight's episode, folks. We started late. We ran late. What else is new? Shout out to my dogs. Shout out to all of you watching at home. Please come join us next week. We'll be back to you live in beautiful Bellevue, Kentucky at Center Street Studios. And it's my honor to give a little sneak peek that next week's guest, when we're back here with the cheap beer, Fantasy Football League Private PGP Forecast Evening Talk Show. Next week's guest will be none other than my friend